office was around the corner from a bookstore, and he read a lot himself, so did I. And he always had music on. Whenever he entered the house, the record player went on. And so that was a big influence, because I listened to classical music really from the time, and I would have been very young when he started that.
So he liked classical music?
Classical music, and for all of his life, when he came in the house, the record player went on, and even when he was in the car driving.
What about your mother?
She was fabulous, really. She was great. My friends and my brothers and sisters' friends always came to our house because she always had cookies and treats, and she was good. And she also played the piano. She had gone to the Halifax Conservatory before she was married, so she was musical.
Now, I guess you were involved in a lot of extracurricular activities when you were a child. I'm just curious as to how that played out in terms of music, pardon the pun.
Yes, well, music was just one of many, many things. I mean, the YMCA was really strong. I would be there at least 4 times a week, growing up from the time I was a child till I left Sydney, because I was involved in a lot of sports and swimming and races, and yes, and so that was a big part. I had so many activities that I did because we had Girl Guides, of course, and dancing. Not just one kind of a dance. There would be tap dancing, ballet, all sorts of dancing, Scottish dancing, of course, because Nova Scotia is related, a lot of Scottish people there. And so I had a fabulous growing up period, and so music was just one of the things.
Did your mother teach you piano at all, or?
No, but I remember her playing for me
Right.
when she was when I was very young. And no, she didn't teach.
Yeah. Sometimes pianists, I guess,
Yeah.
don't make the best piano teachers.
Yes.
Well, obviously you have to be a pianist, but
Yes.
it doesn't follow that because you play the piano, you're going to be able to teach somebody else how to play it.
No, it doesn't. No. But I don't think it was that. My first teacher was one of her best friends. And I can remember certain things that teachers, about my past. She gave me a piece I didn't like. And it had 5 flats. So I hit it and decided, I think I'll try not to, try to get through the lesson. Anyway, her friend called my mom up to tell me what had happened. Little things like that. When I had a pupil, for instance, later on who didn't like a piece, would I make the child play it? Not really.
That's right.
But that was one of my memories of the teachers I had. My mom's friend. And I also had a violin teacher because I took violin as well. And the poor fellow. It was really, I felt really badly for him. He at one point during my lesson, dropped down on his knees and said, "Jesus, Mary, and Joseph." Now, I had never been able to say a damn. I would never swear. That was out of the question. And those 3 words were in church only. And then I moved to Newfoundland, and it's a very common expression.
Very common, yeah.
Yes. But I felt so sorry for him that, of course, I had to make up for it by practicing.
So, was there a point in your life where, for want of a better expression, you fell in love with music, where you knew that it was going to be a part of your life forever?
Not when I was young,
No.
because I was in too many things, and I just enjoyed them all and didn't worry about any of it until I
What
passed
about
grade
when you got
12.
older?
Oh, when I got older, well, I ended out in the Nova Scotia Teachers College. And Dr. Catherine Allison was the teacher. Now, she had a pilot program going with just 6 students, and she wanted me to be a part of it from the time I went through high school. And that was it. The program was so good. They taught you details just about teaching, and the practical things that you need to know, like how to teach from grades 1 to 12,
Yes.
and what you do with recorders, singing, theory, listening to music, and things like that. Plus, it was practical, and we were sent, the 6 of us. The days just passed so fast. I loved every minute of it. But after the December, we then went to schools throughout the province, and she would pick music teachers for us to watch, and who would then supervise us while we taught in the school system.
Okay.
And that wasn't just in Truro, it was throughout.
So obviously, before you went to Teachers College, you had your mind made up that you were going to be a music educator, a teacher? Or was it just an experience you thought you'd
yes,
have?
she really wanted me there right after high school, but I decided I'd go and take a few courses in Halifax, and so I went to Dalhousie and King's,
Right.
stayed at King's, and that's where I happened to meet my husband, who was finishing law school while I was really in my second year arts. But I did it just to have a year to think about it. And also while I was there, I studied with a man named Douglas McPherson, and I didn't know, but he had been in Newfoundland.
Really?
And so while I was doing that other course, all these arts courses, I took a few music courses, but they didn't have a music school in Halifax at that time. I just wanted to keep doing it, as well as everything else, because I'm a jack of all trades.
Yeah. So I think I just kind of figured out how you ended up in Newfoundland, but why don't you tell us the story of how you came to move to Newfoundland and St. John's?
Well, I met Jeffrey, and then, of course, I had to decide really what I was going to do. And I went then to the Teachers College after I met him.
And Jeffrey, your husband,
And he was here working his
is a
first year.
Newfoundlander.
And he's from Newfoundland, yes.
Right.
And but there's an age difference of 7 years, I guess, because he was finishing law, and I was just starting out, really.
Yeah.
But I knew music would be there somewhere. But once I took the course, that was my main thing.
So you were very young when you moved to St. John's.
Yes, I just turned 20, and I was married on August 29th, and was here to teach. Not only was I just married, but I had my first job
You got a job.
right after Labor Day.
Right. And that was at Curtis Academy,
Curtis Academy, yes.
where you had a pretty good time, as far as I know. You were given quite a bit of autonomy when you, mainly because of the principal at the time, Byron March,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Just tell us about that.
Oh, he was wonderful. He really was, because I can't even remember being nervous about any of this, because when you think about it, it was a big move, first to move from home to another place and get an apartment and all that sort of thing. But he was excellent. He let me do things. Apart from the main course was to teach classes. And in those classes, you would do all sorts of things that music teachers do. But he also, I formed choirs. And I put them in the festival, and he supported me for that. And I was really glad he did. But I just took for granted that classes went in festivals. And you didn't even have to. Every child performed in the class. I never took out people from classes.
So you weren't one of those music teachers who said, "Okay, Johnny, you just mouth the words."
No, no, and I hear that a lot.
Oh yeah.
With adults, and
Yeah.
it never leaves them.
Oh yeah.
It never leaves them. It affects them.
When I went to school, there were many people who were told, "You can't sing."
Oh,
You
that's
just-
awful.
Yeah.
And you could.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So when you put your Curtis Choir in the Kiwanis Music Festival, you raised quite a few eyebrows, I understand, because they did so well.
Yes. Now, I didn't know anything about anything else in the city at that point. Later on, after that year, I ended up out on a board working with the other teachers, which was kind of nice, but I didn't realize that a lot of the nuns' sisters ran the choirs that won in the festival, and I was totally unaware of all that. I also, when I was at Curtis, we put off an operetta called Rumpelstiltskin in the same year. And what I really liked about it is that on Saturdays, I was able to take pupils who were interested and couldn't afford or didn't have private teachers in the festival. And so I'd go back on Saturdays and work with these pupils. Now that was really, to me, important.
Yeah.
Because, I still remember the names 60, how many years later?
Yeah.
61 years
Yeah.
later. I remember the names of those students.
Yeah.
But I was lucky.
So the other thing you did pretty soon after you arrived in St. John's was you yourself started taking lessons from Andy Barban,
Andres Barban, yes.
a legendary St. John's music teacher.
Yes.
And I guess who else did you take lessons
Carla Emerson Furlong.
Carla Emerson Furlong.
She was Carla Emerson then.
Okay,
Carla Furlong. Yeah. She's still teaching.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful person. And I took harmony and theory and harmony.
So you became very good friends with these people, and I know
well,
Dr. Barban, you actually accompanied many of his students eventually.
Yes. We became really close friends because when I was with both of those people, I was working on my ARCT or ATCL and my licentiate as well. And so when I started with Mr. Barban, it was that goal. And that's how I met Carla. And it couldn't have been better, really, because of course with Mr. Barban, I continued on even after the degrees and things that I'd gotten, or the diplomas. And we played duets and duos because I was too busy to really practice, and so we ended up sight reading at lessons. And then we ended up being really good, I have to say. And we performed on radio, and I think we did something on TV as well. But with Carla Furlong, the funny thing about that, well, a lot of the way I teach has to do with the way I was with Carla. She talked about we knew each other, and we talked to each other about things other than music, which I always continued to do with students. And the funny thing was, her father, when he heard my maiden name I don't like that, but when he heard the name, he knew my great-grandfather, and I knew nothing about my history on my father's side of the family. And so my great-grandfather, it must have been, lived in, I'm blank, Harbor Breton.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and he was a cable operator because he spoke 5 languages, as many Italians do. He came from Italy. And Carla's dad was interested in languages, so he used to travel the island, and he was friends with my great-grandfather. Such a coincidence.
Yes.
Not only that, my father didn't really know that part of it. I guess Dad was busy all the time, and so he only got interested in his history after he had got older. But that was quite a coincidence.
You alluded to this a few seconds ago, but I did want to ask you, because you're acknowledged to be one of the most successful music teachers, piano teachers in the province, to what do you attribute your great success? I know you said you like to talk to them about things other than music.
Well, I never thought of that. I hoped that they would all love music and that it was a pleasant experience for them. I think that was the main thing. And I did get to know all the students, and they could talk to me, and it was as if we were just equal. And the place, I was lucky to teach at home, because they come out of school, they're tired, they're hungry, and if they were hungry, I'd say, oh, make yourself a piece of toast and jam or something. And they'd gather around quite often with my children's friends, because everybody came to our kitchen too, because there was always food.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, and a cat. And it was not like going into a dental or a doctor's office,
Right.
where you feel you have to sit and wait all by yourself with nothing to read. So that was, I think, part of it.
Tell me about the choirs you created. One was called Giocoso, and the other Giacanti, I think.
Giocoso is the Italian word, the musical term for joyful.
Right.
And the Giacanti is somewhat the same. I started with the Giacosas. It was total accident. Like most of my life was just, I didn't plan it. One of my pupils, Valerie Long actually, who's here in Newfoundland, I answered the phone, and she started playing a song called Welcome Back, Cotter by ear.
Oh.
And that was it.
That was it.
Yes, because I said, okay, you're going to play that. We'll make up words for the parents, welcome back parents and things. And so all the students got together for one little rehearsal, and at the recital at the end of the year, that's what we sang. And they were so good, that started the choir.
Now,
Really.
they went on to win some pretty
Yes.
prestigious awards, did they not? Or at
yes.
least one.
Well, they won the Matheson Trophy,
Yeah.
which...
Tell us about the Matheson Trophy. 'Cause
Well, they find it's a competition across Canada. They pick a choir from the province.
Right.
So really you're competing against all the people in your province. And then when we finish that, then you go on to the nationals. I think I'm not sure of the details, because I forget all that. I forget that. They came second, I guess, a couple of times, or once or twice anyway.
That's pretty good.
And then they won the thing, and yeah, it was good. The Giacosos it was a group of about 35, and fabulous group. And they were just a wonderful group to work with. Everybody, it was fun. The whole thing was fun. I'm sure if they thought about it now, they'd remember the times, not that we sang on stage, but the times that we rehearsed at the last minute, because we only had one practice a week compared to the school choirs. But practicing in the bathrooms of the Arts and Culture Center before we went on stage.
Good acoustics.
Yes, I know. And we traveled to a few places, but one place, New Brunswick, well, my goodness. And there were other choirs from across Canada there. But we always had a good time.
Yeah.
It was mainly about the fun.
Yeah, yeah. What's your assessment of the impact that the Kiwanis music festivals have had on Newfoundland and Labrador music?
Oh, tremendous. Yes.
I know you adjudicate or have
Yes.
adjudicated with.
Oh yes, I did a lot of that over the years, but of course never in St. John's or anywhere I had students.
Right.
But yes, it was important. Didn't require, it was always their choice whether they went in alone or with partners. From the competitive point of view, people thought I was anxious about winning because they did, but I was more concerned really about if the adjudicator had advice that I might have told them, and then they hear it a second time. That's a help. Plus, they're playing in classes with their friends, so it's a social thing. And also, they had to learn to lose. And that sounds, it's really the opposite. And I was fortunate enough to have...
Not everybody gets a gold star.
That's right.
Right.
And people who have for years and years, it's not a bad thing because they learn how to lose, and so do the parents. And it's important because it's life. And that's what I think of now. You're having more and more classes that aren't competitive. And right now, everybody wins. In some way, they win. So that was important, I thought, for just their growing up, because it's subjective. Yep. If you are in a race, you know who comes first. But when you're dealing with the piano, music, the arts of any kind, say an artist even, or somebody who writes a book, how do you choose? It's subjective. And so is life, really.
I agree with you, totally. And I wish we had more time, but you know what? We've run out of time.
Yes.
But we could keep going for,
Yes.
you and I could keep going for a long
Yes.
time. Thanks so much for being on the program, Jane.
Oh, thank you for
And
asking
it's great
me.
to see you looking so well. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
If you want convenience, Marie's Mini Mart is here for you. A one-stop shop for a variety of products, home-style breads, sandwiches, plus check out our freshly baked artisan breads and single-serve desserts exclusively at our in-store bakery on Frecker Drive. With 25 locations, wherever you go, there we are.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Victory they needed and a victory they got.
That he fell.
Whoa, I'm not driving. I'm way too stoned. How are you feeling, Beer?
Since we had that talk, I'm not driving.